Welcome, welcome, welcome to the ASVAB Math Confidence Workshop. You are in the right place if you want to learn how to streamline your review time and gain some confidence going into taking the ASVAB. If you look down here in the left-hand corner, you can scan to download the workbook. And the one thing about this quick little workshop is that you can start and stop it at any time. It is interactive. I do want you to, even though, we can't really interact with each other, I want you to stop and start it and go through the activities with me. So with that said, let's get started here. Hi, I am Tanya Hulett. I'm actually a certified science teacher. I have over 20 years of experience in the classroom. I have been private tutoring for the last 10 years. I have developed the ASVAB Made Simple review course, and this is going to kind of just mimic what I do in real life if you were sitting right in front of me. I have my email on there, so if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. If you can text, you can text me as well. So just when you text me, be specific about what you're wanting to know, and then I will follow back up with you. So what is on the agenda for today? Well, we're going to do a little bit of a check-in. We're going to look at how to actually score the ASVAB and why I focus on math. We're going to look at my top 10 success tips to be successful in reviewing. We're going to work through some practice math problems in the part 2 and the part 5. We're going to talk about what's next. Okay, and then I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm going to show you how I can continue to support you with my new online course, ASVAB Made Simple, a streamlined success approach. I'm actually going to show you the actual course and what you're going to get with it. And if it's a fit, great. If not, no big deal. I just want to make sure that everyone has enough information to make the best decisions for themselves. And if you need help, just for you to know, this is how I would help you and support you in your goals in joining the military. So how does that feel for everybody? I just like to be upfront with everybody. I am going to pitch you something at the end, but it's totally up to you whether or not you would like to join us on this venture. Okay, so what comes up for you? Okay, when you think about reviewing for the ASVAB, and this is just some of the things that have come about. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but do you know where to start? Where do you even start studying? Are you rusty and you feel kind of embarrassed about it because you don't remember how to do fractions? Are you working a full-time job, so it's hard to fit in tutoring because you have other responsibilities? I know sometimes by the time I finish my full-time job, I am completely wiped out and do not feel like doing much of anything. Are you overwhelmed by all the different resources out there? What is a good resource? What's a bad resource? Are you scared of failing and what that might mean? Math anxiety. A lot of us have math anxiety. And when we get anxiety, our brains go blank. Absolutely blank. They don't work, even though you know how to do it. And even though you know how to do it, when that anxiety spikes, your brain shuts down. You can't find that information to bring it forward. Studies passively instead of actually practicing. Practicing is not just reading. This is how you do it. Practicing it. You don't just read about doing a jump shot. You sit there and you practice it over and over and over and over till you get that muscle memory. Doesn't see progress fast enough, so you don't think you're progressing fast enough. The environment isn't set up to actually focus. If you're like me, I've got 15 million things going on around me. I've got grandkids, kids, dogs, cats, chickens that keep getting out in the front yard. I've got all kinds of things going on. So is the environment not set up for focus? you're carrying a lot of just life stress in general. You're not feeling motivated. That's me putting this video together, just having the motivation to sit down and actually do it when there's not so many other distractions going on. And I'm doing it. So mistakes or not, we're doing this. We're doing this together. We're doing it. Steady goals that are too big. Sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and then when we can't make those goals because they're too big, then we feel bad about it, and we don't have to. You don't really have a deadline. You know, you need to study, and you're not, and you're not, and you're not. But if you put a deadline on, and in practice, we're going to talk about that a little bit at the end. You may be missing one key basic skill that actually makes everything fall into place. Get stuck on one question, and that anxiety just spirals you into, now I don't remember anything. Runs out of time and panics. This test is timed, and that's really scary. And you can't use a calculator. That's even scarier, because that's all we've been using is using our calculator, so we don't remember our multiplication tables. Okay. Second guesses. Okay, so we're going to talk about guessing and the correct answer. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So when you start second guessing yourself, and then trying to study alone, sometimes that does not work. Some of us do really well that way, but sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes you just need a little bit of help to guide you in one direction or another. And then ties the scores to your worth. Okay, all a score is a placement where you are, and you don't have to have a perfect score. If you're trying to get in the military, you need to have the score that's going to allow you to get in. Okay, yes, we want you to have a great score, but we need to get you in first. You can go back and retake that test for a higher score once you know that you're getting in, and even focus on those individual tests that can help you get the job that you want in the military. So what's hard for you when it comes to reviewing? What are the things that are holding you back? What are the things that are holding you back? Now, let's talk about the score. Okay, there are 3 layers to a score, and depending on which branch you go in, it can be a little bit different from each branch, because each branch has a little bit of a different focus. Okay. So the AFQT, this is the score, the main score that's like, okay, do I even qualify? Is my score even high enough to even enlist? Okay. And how competitive am I with the other people that are trying to get in? We have line scores that's really tells you what jobs you can get that you qualify for. Okay, and then we have the subtest standard scores, which is how did you do in each subject area? Okay, each test that you took, how well did you do within that test? So we're going to focus on part of the AFQT part. You know, do I qualify to enlist score? And this includes the arithmetic, reasoning, and the mathematical knowledge. Okay, it also includes the word knowledge and the paragraph comprehension. You have to do well in these orders to a minimum score to even qualify to go to enlist in the military. And so if this is your first time taking it, this is where you need to focus. Now, the word knowledge and the paragraph composition, they take these 2 scores right here, they add them together, and they multiply it by 2. So it's a big chunk. You have to be able to read and write, okay, and to comprehend things. And so that's a big chunk of it. I don't tutor that, because you handle math and science a little bit different than you do English and history. So you approach those questions a little bit more, because my specialty is in math and science. I do math and science type things. And then if you really need help in those areas, I would suggest that you get someone who teaches English to help you in those sections, to be able to give you tips and tricks on how to actually do well in those sections. With that said, I focus on the math part, because people tend to have more anxiety with the math than they do with some of the other areas. And then we get this under control, then we can focus on other areas of the test. But the math is one that most people struggle with. Okay, my top 10 checklist. This is what I use. I send out to people. This is what I highly suggest, and I'm kind of in the way of I'm kind of in the way of the QR code here. So it is actually in the workbook, I believe. And if it's not in the workbook, it will be towards the end of this where you can click on that QR code and get my top 10 checklist. But these are the things that I suggest everybody does before they go in to take the test. Number one, the fastest and most efficient way to review, to know what you know and what you don't know, is to use a practice test. Okay. And that will show you what you remember, what you don't remember, and what you need to study for. So when you get that review book, you're not starting from the beginning trying to work all the way through. You can just focus on those areas that you really need to review. Okay. I also tell people the first time you take the practice test, to take the pressure off the first time, you want a calm, you don't want that anxiety to really ramp up so you don't remember anything. Okay. So you're going to take the pressure off. You're not going to worry about timing, and you're not going to worry about whether or not you have to use a calculator. Now, I would suggest trying not to use a calculator, but if you absolutely have to, use the calculator to do the calculations. Okay. So that's the first pressure. That will tell us, do you know how to do the process? Do you know how to put it in a calculator or do the math part, the actual mental math part? Okay. Show your work. It's really important that you show your work as you work through the practice test. That way you can come back and actually look at it later when you go over those to see what you did and what was going on in your head, that sort of thing. Track your guesses. Sometimes you're going to come down to the end, you're just going to have to guess. You narrow it down to 2 choices you have to guess. Maybe you don't have any idea, you just guess, but you're going to track your guesses so that we can look at them and see, when I'm guessing, more often than not, am I getting it right or am I getting it wrong? And what can we do to fix that? Okay. I also suggest when you go through a practice test, write down what you need. Okay. So, what formulas are you going to have to memorize? So if they're asking you to calculate the area of a rectangle, do you know what that is? Okay. Any conversion factors? I can tell you one of the conversion factors they like to use is 16 ounces to a pound. So are there any conversion factor? Feet to yards, inches to centimeters. What conversion factors? And any key facts or words that you do not know what they mean, circle them so that you can go over them, find the definitions, and figure out what they mean. Like, they're going to ask questions about mean, median, mode, and range. Those 4 things commonly ask simple questions, but if you don't remember what they mean before you go in to take the test, you're going to miss those simple questions. And so really important to write those things as you're going through the practice test, because they're going to tell you what you need to focus on as you go through. Okay. Review your mistakes with curiosity. This is really important. We're not trying to do, I gotcha. We're trying to go, oh, I didn't remember this. I need to go back. I need to go back and look at it. Okay. Do it with curiosity. Where did I go wrong? What was my mistake? How can I fix it? How can I get it right the next time? Okay. Number 1, know your multiplication facts. It's been a while. Some of us, I still have a hard time in that range, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, right in that range where all the numbers are really close together. But know your multiplication facts, okay? Because that's going to help you with division. It's going to help you with multiplication. It's going to help you show patterns. Okay, know your multiplication facts. Start studying those now. And that's something you can do in the car when you're driving to work. You can do it at work when you're doing whatever. Multiplication facts. Know your multiplication facts. It's going to save you a whole lot of time. And because this test is timed, you need to know your multiplication facts. Okay. Rework the questions you missed and the ones you guessed. Rework them. Even though it's the same exact question, rework them. Okay. Don't memorize it with C. Memorize how you get to the answer that is 35C. Okay. So make sure you rework them, because that's going to create some muscle memory in your brain, so that when you see a similar problem, it's just like doing that free throw. Okay. When you see a similar problem, you can go, hey, I know how to do this. It just has different numbers. I'll just plug different numbers into the process I already know, because I've done it over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. Retake the test, but this time, that second pass through, do it timed and no calculator. Okay. So we need to practice and make sure we can stay within that time limit to answer as many questions as we can in that time period. So the second time you take it, after you practice, then do it timed. And then rinse and repeat. Okay, rinse and repeat. Find another practice test and do it. Each practice test you're going to see is going to have a little bit different focus than the other one. So you might have more geometry in one than you did algebra, or vice versa. So make sure you rinse and repeat. Okay, and the same thing, do it over again with another practice test. That's going to help start stacking your confidence, so that and reviewing more topics as you go. And this is the fastest way to actually review for an exam, especially if you haven't seen the materials in a while. Okay, so I'm going to change my screens. I'm going to stop sharing here for just a second. And so if you haven't had a chance to go and download the thing, just you can watch it, go ahead, pause it, go back and download it, and then come back. What I would like you to do is to pause it anyway, take a few minutes and answer these two questions on your own. And then I'm going to come back and work them with you like I would if you were sitting with me. So just take a minute and pause the video. Okay, so what did you get for answer number 1? Now, I can tell you that the answer right here is 25%. So what we're going to do, if we were sitting here, I would ask you, if we were tutoring one-on-one, I would ask you, what'd you get? If you got it right, I would ask you if you got any if you had any questions. And if there was anything that I needed to say about this to share with you, I would. And I'm going to do that as I work through it. If you got it wrong, then I would sit here and we would work through the problem together. Now, know that there's more than one way to work a problem. But I'm going to do one that is more logical for me. So let's read the problem. It says a jacket originally cost $80 and is on sale for $60. What is the percent decrease? So how much did it actually go down, the price go down? Now there's two ways that we can actually do this. We can find out what percentage 60 is of that $80. Or because we're decreasing, we could subtract the two and find out how much the price went down, and then do that same thing as well. But the thing I want to tell you is when we're looking at percentages, you need to know this, that a percent over 100, this is just a formula if you can remember it, is equal to a part over the whole. Okay, so if we were trying to figure out how much 60 is of 80, then we could put the part, which is 60, and 80 is the original price, which would be the whole, is equal to, and the other thing we have to remember is and of. If we have those words in there and you can see it. So this is a formula that if you can remember this, you can work a lot of the percentage problems. Okay, so let's look at this. Now, I know they want the decrease. How much did the price decrease? How much did that price decrease? And if I take that decrease, which is the 80 minus the 60, it decreased $20. Now, if I want to do this, put this in the part of the whole, I could do part of the whole. My part would be 20. My whole is 80. And now what we need to do is we need to divide. Fractions mean divide. And so when I divide, the number on top is what goes under the house. So I have 20 divided by 80. Now I want to show you something else too. I'm going to show you another trick here too. Let me erase this for just a second. Because I have a 0 up here and I have a 0 down here, I can cancel them out. So I can really see how much that 8 can go into that 20 or that 2, now that I've canceled out those zeros. Now, 8 can't go into 2. So we're going to bring the decimal up here. Then we're going to put a 0 there. Can 8 go into 20? Yes, it can go in there 2 times. Okay, 2 times 8 is 16.
If I subtract that, I get 4. This is basic long division. Okay. Then I can bring another 0 down. So let's look at this. This number right here is 2. We have 20. We have 25. We have 30. It can't be 30. And it can't be 40. We have now narrowed it down to 2 answer choices. And then I know 8 can go into here 5 times. And this is why it is 25 and not 20, because this is 40 and then we have 0. Okay. Remember that when you have decimals right here, okay, if we multiply it by 100, then we're going to get 25%. And if we're going backwards and we want to change it back to a decimal, okay, this just means this 0.25 just means we have 25 out of 100. Okay, 25 out of 100, which is our percentage over 100, which is our decimal. Okay, let's look at the second one. It says a person walks 2 miles in 20 minutes. What is the speed in miles per hour? Now, miles cancels up, but that minutes and hours does not cancel up. In order to get miles per hour, we need to convert this to hours. And we can see all of this is in miles per hour. Now, the miles per hour here, remember, this is just like that per is like we're dividing again. So we're going to put that 2 miles over that 40 minutes, but we need to convert it into hours. So what do I know? I know that 40 minutes, and I'm just going to set this up into a T. 40 minutes is equal to, well, we need to convert it. And what do we know? We know that there are 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. And if I want the minutes to cancel out, I need to have minutes to be on the bottom. Instead of writing it horizontal, we're going to write it vertically here. So I'm going to write my 60 minutes right here, because it doesn't matter if I do 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. It doesn't matter which side of the equal sign it's on, and we just need to get it to line up so that they cancel out. Okay, so the 60 minutes on bottom, the 1 hour on top, the minutes are going to cancel out. Okay, and so then now we're going to end up with 40 over 60. Again, we can take that out there. And then we can even reduce this if we wanted to. But if I do 4 again, 4, the 6, the 4, it can't go in there. We're going to bring the decimal up, add a 0. So 6 can go in to 40. 6 times, and so that's going to be 36. 6 times 6 is 36, and then we have 4 down here. And so then, again, we can keep doing that, bring down the 0, 6, so this is going to be repeating, okay, repeating. And so now we can actually, and I'm going to show you 2 ways. Now we can actually plug that in. So I can do, we need miles per hour, so I can do 2 miles over the 0.66 and divide it again. But if I leave it as a fraction of this 4 over 6, then I can do 2 miles divided by 4 over 6. And because we're dividing, it looks like this, 2 divided by 4 over 6. This 2 is 2 over 1, but when we divide fractions, then we're going to do 2 over 1, and then we're going to multiply it by its reciprocal. So the reciprocal just means that we're flipping the numbers. Instead of 4 over 6, it's going to be 6 over 4. And so I can either multiply out this way, and I can go 2 times 6, which is going to give me 12. And I can do 1 times 4, which is going to give me 4. And then when I reduce this, I know 4 can go into 12 3 times. The other thing I can do is I can reduce it, especially when you have big numbers, I can reduce the fractions going in this direction. So I can go, 2 can go into 2 1 time, 2 can go into 4 2 times. Remember, you can do it diagonally and up and down, but not horizontally. Okay, and so I know 2 can go into 6, again, because this is 1 over 1 is going to be 3. So this is, again, your answer is going to be 3. and this is going to be 3 miles per hour. And I did not this time ask you what you got, okay? But the answer is going to be 3. Okay. Now, let's go to the next set of problems. So pause it for a minute and then go in and then let's work these 2 problems and then we will work them together. Okay, what did you get? Look at your answer choices. Now we're going to go over it anyway, so I'm going to wait till the end to show you so I can show you how to eliminate some of the answer choices as we work. So a student wants an average of an 80 on 5 tests. Okay, so the first 4 tests he scores a 70, 85, 90, and a 75. So average, how do we get the average? We add up all 5 tests, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus we need to know what's going to be, what's the score on the last test? What does this need to be? And I'm just going to put an X there. And then remember, we take the number of tests here, we're going to divide it by 5, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests after we add them all together. And that is going to equal our 80 right here, because this is the average we want to have. This is how we find our average. So now, if I go and do this, this is going to be our average, which is 80, is equal to 70 plus 85 plus 90 plus 75 plus X, and that's all going to be divided by 5. Now, we're going to do a little bit of algebra. I need to get rid of this fraction here, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. This is going to give us 400 is equal to 70, all of this, X, this gets rid of that. So let's add this up. So if I add 70 and 90, this is 160. If I add these together, then that's also 160. If I add those together, then I'm going to get, excuse me, 160 and 160, that's 2. That's going to be 320. So this is going to be 320 plus 5. So I just added all of these together. That's equal to the 320. Not plus 5. It's going too fast. X. Now, in order to isolate this X, because this is, we're adding that 320, we have to do the opposite, which means we're going to subtract 320 from both sides. That goes away. We subtract this, we get 80. So our last test, we have to have an 80 on it in order to get. Okay. The other thing you could do, once you knew this was 400, you could add all of these up. 320, what number do you need to know in order to, what number do you need to have here in order for this to be 400? You could add those to it and see if it equals 400. Okay. Okay, number 4. So in this one, it says I have 4 notebooks that cost $6 each. How much do 10 notebooks cost? So we can actually set this up like a proportion. I have 4 notebooks at $6. What if I had 10 notebooks? How many dollars would it be? Okay, so we can just set this up like a proportion. Remember, we can cross multiply and then we can divide. So if I cross multiply here, I get 60 because 6 times 10 gives me 60 is equal to 4 times the dollar sign. We want to know how many dollars it is. Now, because we're multiplying, the opposite of multiply is divide. That goes away. We get that the cost of those 10 notebooks is going to be 60 divided by 4. Remember, that goes underneath the house. So if I go 60 divided by 4, I know this goes in there one time. Look, 1, 1, 1. We can't rule anything out. There's 4. This goes 4 minus 4 from 6 is 2. Bring down a 0. We know 4 can go in there 5 times. So the cost is going to be $15. Set it up like a proportion. Now, it doesn't matter. You could have done 4 notebooks, 10 notebooks, 4 goes with the $6, and then to know what this one is here, still, if I do 10 times 6, 4 times X, as long as you get them lined up together, grouped together either horizontally or vertically, and the $4, this either has to be across from it or up and down from it. You're still going to get the same thing in this proportion. So it doesn't matter because 10 times 6, that gives us our 60. 4 times X is going to give us our 4X or our $4 sign. So we know how much those 10 notebooks cost. And so it's going to be $15. Okay, let's work a few more. Okay, pause it, take a few minutes, work a couple of problems, and then we're going to go on from here. Okay, this one here says we have three numbers, and these three numbers are going to add up to 48. They're going to equal 48. And so let's look at what these numbers mean. So I have number 1, number 2, number 3, and all of them are going to add up to 48. This is what this is saying. Okay, now what does it tell us about the numbers? It says the second number is twice the first. So the second number is 2 times the first number. Okay, so the first number is n, the second number is 2 times n. The third number is 6 more than the second. So if I take the second number, which is 2n, and I add 6 more to it, then they want to know what is that first number. All of that right there is equal to 48. Okay, so let's add them up. If I have, this would be like 1n. 1n plus 2n gives me 3n, plus 2n gives me 5n. So I have 5n, then plus that 6 there is equal to that 48. Now we're just going to do simple algebra. I'm adding 6 here, so the opposite would be to subtract. If I do it to this side, I have to do it to the other side. So I get 5n is equal to 42. Then 5 times n right here is multiplying. The opposite to multiply is divide, so I'm going to divide that. So I'm going to get n is equal to 42 over 5, which means, again, the 42 goes under the house. I'm going to divide by 5, and I know it will go in there 8 times. Okay, now 8 times that is 40, gives me 2. I can go in there, bring down that, and I can see that it's, but if I rounded this, it's still, oops, I put that in the wrong spot. 8. Right there, it's going to go in there 8 times. I bring down that other 0 right there, and it is going to it can go into there 4 times, 8.4. If I round that, it's going to be 8. So that first number is going to be approximately 8. Okay. Second one. If I look at the part over the whole, again, that percent, the part over the whole for my percentage, and I know the part is that 84, that's 84 minus the 70 over the whole, which is the 70. This is our original, what we started with. And so if I look at this, then I'm going to get 14 over 70. I can't cross out any zeros here, but I can divide that 70 into that 14. Now, will 70 go into 14? No. So I'm going to put a 0 here, bring that decimal up because there's no more numbers there. Okay, and then I know that 70 will go into 140 2 times, and so 2 times 70 is going to be 140, which is 0. So that 2 right there tells me it's going to, there's a 0 there, there's nothing else, that this is going to be 20%. That part over the whole, we've got the increase. What did it increase by? Increased by 14. The whole, the original, which is 70, and then we're going to divide it. Okay, number 7. It says a bus travels 150 miles in 3 hours. It says, what is the average speed? What is the average speed? So speed we know is distance over time. All of these are in miles per hour. So again, we're going to divide that miles per hour. So we're going to miles over hours. So I have 150 divided by 3. And so if I do the 150 divided by 3, 3 can't go into 1, it can go into 15, 5 times. This right here shows us it's going to be 100, it's going to be 50 miles per hour. We don't even have to do any more because 5, that's the only one that has 5 in it. But if we were to do it, 3 times it's 15, 0, and then we would bring the 0 down. It goes in there, 0. I didn't need to put that on there. I'm moving a little bit too fast for my own self. Okay, so it's going to be 50. That is our answer right there. Okay, 2. Save a little bit time. I am going to jump in there to part 5, and let's do a little bit of algebra. And again, work these problems. Work these problems, and then we will come together and work them. Now, this is straight algebra. So remember, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other, and we want to isolate this x to solve for that x. So because we're adding that +7, the opposite would be to subtract. So if I do it to this side, I have to do it to this side. This goes away. I end up with 3x is equal to 7 minus 25 is equal to 18. If I subtract that, I get 18. Okay, this is multiplying 3 times x. So the opposite of multiply is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3 because whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. That can go away. And I know that 3 can go into 18 six times. Okay, and so I know that x is equal to 6. I can do that. 18, 3, can't go in there, but I know 6, 18, 0. So our answer is going to be 6. Pretty straightforward. Now, when we come to this one, this is an order of operations one, an order of operations one. And this is what you have to know, that PEMDAS, PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, adding, and subtracting. So right here we have multiplication. There's no parentheses, no exponents, but we do have multiplication. So now if I go 6 plus 3 times 4 is 12. Now there's no division. I'm going to add. So if I add these together right here, then I'm going to get 18. 6 plus 12 is 18. So my answer right there is going to be 18. Now, if we take this and apply it to the next problem, which is to evaluate this, there's a couple of different ways that we can actually approach this. Okay, so what does this actually mean? So this 2 to the 3rd power means we're taking 2 times 2 times 2. That's this part right here, 2 times 2 times 2. This part right here is 2 times 2, and then we're multiplying all of those together. So I can go 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. Multiply those together, and I'm going to get 32. This is my answer. Okay. The other thing that I want to tell you about the exponents, if you're multiplying this, but you want to keep it in exponent form, how it works is that if I have x to the n power times x to the n power, what we're going to do is because we're multiplying them, we're going to add those numbers, those other numbers together. So this would be 2, using this example, would be 2 to the 3 plus 2 to the 2 is equal to 2, 3 plus 2, which is equal to 2 to the 5th power. And if we look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's our 5 right there. Okay, 2 to the 3, and that's not plus, it's times 2 to the 2nd power, means we have 2, 3 plus 2, which is equal to 2 to 5. And we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay. Pythagorean theorem, right angle. Anytime you see anything with the right angle, you need to think a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now, if we have a right triangle, here is our right triangle. This is A and B. It doesn't matter if A's here or B's here. You're just solving for one of them, okay? And then C is always going to be your hypotenuse. C is always going to be your hypotenuse. So if I'm trying to find the legs A and B of 6 and of 8 to find that hypotenuse, I like to draw my triangles in 6 and 8. And I'm trying to find this, which is equal to C. So I'm going to do 6 squared plus 8 squared is equal to C squared. I get 36 times 6 is equal to 36. 8 times 8 is equal to 64. Gives me C squared. I add those two together. I'm going to get 100 is equal to C squared. To get rid of that squared to solve for C, I'm going to take the square root of both of them. Okay, and what do I know? If I take the square root of 100, I know that this is 10 times 10 because I have two of them. I can take them outside the house. And so this is going to equal, C is going to equal plus or minus 10, but we can't have a negative 10 in a distance. Okay, so our answer is going to be 10. You could even square each of these and see which one adds up to 100. That will work too, or as close to that. But this is how you solve for the right triangle. If you see a right triangle, what's the first thing you need to draw a right triangle and label the parts. Okay, area of a rectangle. So it says, what is the area of the rectangle? And we have a length and the width is like this. So I have my rectangle, my width, okay, is 5. My length is 8. And so how do we find the area of the rectangle? Area of the rectangle is equal to the length times the width. And so if I put the 5 times the 8 in here, then we're going to get the area is equal to 40. And that's what it is. Right there in our answer choices, our area is equal to 40. Pretty straightforward. Do a couple more, and then we're going to go in and look at our the course itself. Square roots. Square roots. Remember, squares is when you have a number, the number times a number. A number times a number is equal to a number squared. They have to be the same. So what do I know about this? I know I have 9 times 9 is equal to 81. Okay, because it's together, there's two of them, we can take it outside the house, so our answer is going to be 9. Okay, our answer is going to be 9. I'm going to show you another one real fast. So what if I had 12, the square root of 12? Well, if I start to factor as, I know this is 6, 2 and 6. I can factor this down to 2 and 3. And so what do I have? I have two numbers that are the same. They're going to come outside the house. This is going to stay underneath the box. So the answer to this would actually be 2, sorry, not 4, but 2, because I bring the 2 out, square root of 3. And so this is how you square root a number that isn't a perfect square. Okay, this is an exact number. Okay, let's do one more. Actually, let's do 2 more. Okay, so on this one, we have a fraction. It's addition. We're going to simplify it, which means we're just going to add them together. So in order to add these together, the denominator, the number on the bottom, has to be the same. So first thing I like to do is to take the smallest number, see if it'll go into the large number, and it does. That 2 right there will go into 4. How many times 2? So if I take this 1/2 and I multiply it by 2, I get 4. But whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. And if I do that, then I'm going to get 1 times 2, which is 2, 2 times 2, which is 4, plus that 1/4. Now, if I add these two numbers together, I'm going to get 3/4. And here is my answer right there, 3/4. Now I can look at this and I can see this is 1/4 and we're adding it, so it has to be bigger than that. This is 1/2 and we're adding 1/4 to it, so it's got to be bigger than that. So it's down to these two numbers, but these two numbers go into each other nice and even, so it has to be that 3/4 right there. Okay, one more. We have to solve this one. In order to solve this one, we have to distribute this 5 through there, which means we're going to multiply this 5 times that x, which is going to give us 5x. We're going to multiply this 5 times that -2, which is going to give us a -10. 5 times -2 gives us -10. And then we're going to put the 15 right there. Now we can solve it just like using simple algebra. This is a -10. So we're going to add 10 to both sides because we want to isolate this right here. This goes away. I end up with 5x is equal to 25. This is multiplying. Again, I want to isolate that x. We're multiplying. Opposite of multiply is divide. This is going to go away. And so then I get x is equal to 25 divided by 5. I know 5 can go into 25 5 times, so x is going to equal 5. This is my answer right there. Okay. So let's revert back and let's talk about what is actually next. So again, I'm going to tell you, use the practice test to narrow down your focus. Follow all the tips that we discussed today. Study your formulas, multiplication tables, very, very important. This is going to decrease your time by knowing your multiplication tables. Rework what you missed. Repeat it until it clicks so you know exactly what to do. Retake the test again. You're going to timed, no calculator this time. And you're going to work another practice test. You're going to review, when you work more practice tests, you're going to review more topics. And you're going to repeat and rinse and repeat, so you can build that confidence. It's going to stack on top as you get more confident, and then go in and take your test. Okay, so we're going to build a personal focus plan. So this is some things I want you to think about, okay? That's going to alleviate some of those problems in some of the first slides that I showed you that people think about. So think about, when is your ASVAB test? What is the date you're going to go in and take it? And you're going to work backwards so that you can figure out how you're going to study for it and how you're going to work that into your schedule. Even if it's a question or two a day, do something. Okay, what's the score or the goal that you're aiming for? Do you know what the score you need in order to get into the military? On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel doing the ASVAB math right now? How confident do you feel? And you can use these same strategies for all the different parts, but I would focus on the English and the math first. What are 2 things that you're absolutely solid on that you know that you can do? What are 1 to 2 things that you need to refresh on? Maybe you need to refresh a little bit more on percentages or fractions. How do you add, subtract, multiply, and divide them? Find 1 next action that you can do today or tomorrow. And then what feels hardest right now? What is the hardest thing right now, do you think, for you? Everybody's going to be different. And there's no judgment. No judgment. I'm no judgment. No judgment. Don't judge me when I make little mistakes there. I'm not going to judge you. Okay, know where you are. Be comfortable with yourself. Okay, now I'm going to show you my course. Okay, this is the ASVAB made simple. It's a streamlined success approach. So I am going to change my share screen. Let me see if I can get it up. Okay, yes, I do. Got the right one. Okay, so here is my course. So it's the ASVAB Made Simple, Streamline Success Approach. I'm not going to go through everything here. It talks a little bit about me. It gives you a welcome aboard. This is what you need to do, who I am, why I actually put this course together. And then there's a mindset, a blueprint for success that can maximize your whole course experience if you actually go through and look at each one of these videos. Okay, have a positive mind, growth set. What does that mean? Schedule your time and honor it. This is really, really important. Um, what do you need to actually do it? Strategies for success. This one right here, don't skip this section. If you skip the other ones, okay, but do not skip this section right here. Okay, strategies for success. What will you have access to? So this one is important too, because it's going to tell you. You can click here, you can get the practice tests, part 2 and part 5. In the practice tests, I got them from somewhere else. I didn't make these practice tests up. Okay. You have access to, will have access to extra worksheets with keys at some point. Right now, I'm still working on that. That's coming too. The ability to schedule individual tutoring sessions with me online at a discounted price if you want to work with me one-on-one. But even if you don't want to work, if you don't want to pay to work with me online, you get 2 hours a week with me. And right now, because this is a new course, there's not very many people in there. So it may be just you, 2 hours, 2 hours a week in an open help lab questions where you can come in and ask me anything you want. Okay. And they are currently Sundays at 6 p.m. Central Time and Fridays at 10 a.m. Central. Okay, so these are the open labs. You will have to actually go in there and schedule a time so that I know you are coming and so that you can get the link so you can actually schedule those times on the actual calendar here. And if you have any problems with that, then make sure that you contact me and we will make sure that it is working correctly. Okay, so go to the next category. You work your practice test, then you can come in question by question. There's a video for every single question. It will tell you here, the answer to question number 1 is D. Okay, then if you totally get that question, you have absolutely no problems, you know how to work it, then skip it, go to the next one. You don't have to watch it. You can just come over here, click on question number 2 and say, oh, the answer to question number 2 is C. Great. But I guessed it. I guessed it right, but I guessed it. So let's go in and watch it. And then you're going to see me work the problems just like I worked them here. Okay. Then you'll go on to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of the questions to that practice test is there. And then this last section, at the end of this particular category is like, yay, you made it through question 2. What's your next step? Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Okay. Then you can go on to the next category. Okay. And that is part 5. Here you can download the part 5. Click there to let you download it. And then do the same thing with these questions as well. And then what's next? And this is how the course is set up. Now, right now, I only have 1 practice test in here. And so once I get a few more people in here and I get some interest for a second practice test, I will actually go in and work a second practice test and put it in here. It won't take me long to do it at all. So with that said, I am going to stop sharing this page, stop sharing. And I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. And the PowerPoint is right here. And I am going to move back over here. So we're back at the PowerPoint. And so that is my course. Bonus tip. Okay, this is my bonus tip. Smart people ask for help. This is real important for you to know. Smart people ask for help. It's not a weakness. Okay, support shortens that learning curve. Okay, and here are a few of testimonials from students that I have worked with in the past. And so this one is from Andrew. You can pause and read it. I'm not going to I'm not going to read it to you, but you can pause and read it. Here are a few more from a couple other people that have actually done ASVAB tutoring with me. A lot of these people have come to me after they've taken the test for the first time, and the recruiters say you need to get a tutor to help you. Okay. And just to tell you a little bit about this course, ASVAB Made Simple, it's a streamlined success approach. Okay, it's offered to you 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, all year long. Okay, and if you use this, if you're watching this video, I will give it to you for $39 off this coupon code if you put in AMC39. So you'll actually get it for $110. Usually it's valued, I straight out price right now, I'm charging $149 for. You will get to go through a complete part 2 and part 5. If you're doing that one-on-one with me, it takes about an hour and a half for each section to go through. If you do two 1-hour help labs, that's $150. That actually pays for the course if you were doing one-on-one tutoring for me. You can get discounted prices of tutoring at 20% off. And then if you want to go through a second practice test, that extra practice test, you can get 66% off that original one. So it'd be about $49 for a second test. You have a 30-day money-back guarantee, but that is if you're going through this practice test, then I can you need to follow the instructions in order to do it. You can get that 30-day money-back guarantee. If you get me in contact with your recruiter, and so we can share this video with them, I'll give you the complete course for $49. I will give you an extra practice test for free, even if I have to work through it with you one-on-one. If you get me in contact with your recruiters, then and they use my video to help me get some more clients, then I will give you a second practice test for free. So let me know if you have any questions. You can reach out to me by tanyahulett@gmail.com, or you can give me a call or text me at 281-524-4545. It's probably better that you text me that you have a question, leave your phone number and what your question is. I'll give you a call back and answer that for you. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And again, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to serve you today, and I hope to serve you again in the future. So, Tanya Hulett, and I am signing out.